Ashley Rose with TWM News. I'm also in a lot of other things, but you can call me Ash. A lot of other things. I'm here joined by one of my good friends and famous podcaster, according to Woods. And Woods, why don't you tell them exactly what you covered or used to covered or all those things.
I still do it. It's just not with any regularity. But I started 6 years ago, basically doing interviews and sometimes commentary for MMA, regional and amateur MMA here in Southern California. That blossomed into, actually before that, producing fight vids, like promo videos for people going to Bellator and Combate Americas and stuff like that. Had Two Guys One Phone podcast, which is an MMA podcast on Facebook, literally like 3 years before Red Table Talk, and when Facebook wanted to monetize it. Dumb shit meme poster. After 83 weeks, co-hosts with Eric Bischoff. There's a lot of stuff. So throw a dart, maybe I fit it. That's the deal.
Yeah, Woods actually interviewed me. I looked, it's been a couple years since we've been at a table together, you and I, and that's why I was like, you know what? It's a good time. How about you come over here to TWM Talks? Because this is just a regular episode of TWM Talks. Because we're two interviewers. So what do two interviewers do? We're going to interview each other.
Dang right. And I feel honored because I never want to, kind of impose my will, but I was like, when is Ash gonna invite me over? But and it's happened. It took a couple years to do, but we're here. So I'm honored.
Yeah, well, I've been building up everything with the relaunch of TWM News becoming TWM Plus last year. So we're Plus Entertainment. So I have a lot on my plate. And then I, of course, have my side projects going on too. That's in process, which I'm pretty excited about. We should be getting it out in 7 weeks, hopefully.
7 weeks.
7 weeks.
Congratulations. But I love, right, that if you're a foodie, right, there's some inside digs. We're inviting to the table, sides, plus it's like, yeah, you're going to get your fill. There's a pun there.
And shout out to my friend Woods here, because this man, let me tell you something about this man. This man was on his way to ER and he wanted me to talk to him because he was worried about me mentally. So I called him and he was on his way to ER. So that tells you exactly the type of person Woods is here.
I care about my peeps, man, and you.
I was like, peeps. Oh my god, yeah. Are you okay?
Yeah. So apparently, I've got like, or they call it GERD, but basically acid reflux, which I've never had before. I've had people in my family, like my 22-year-old kid, he's had it, and they're like, "Ha, you can't eat this, you can't eat this, you can't eat this." And then now time to pay the piper because I can't eat anything. I bought lemonade, orange juice, and whatever. I can't drink any of it. It's
because of the acid in it.
Yeah,
citric acid. Is that what it is?
Battery acid.
Battery acid. Battery, whatever. I just can't.
Yeah, whatever floats my boat, right?
I'm glad you're okay, but yeah, I was like, I'm here, I'm here telling him about just venting about our standard journalism shit that we deal with all the time, because it's a lot. I don't think people actually realize what we go through as journalists, or because sometimes people don't see us as actual journalists. They don't see us as actual interviewers. They don't see us as actual producers. We're personalities, or, we fall into a lot of categories. So
yes,
it does get frustrating because not only do we hear the positive, we also hear the negative. And the negative is always louder than the positive because they're more vocal about what they dislike versus what they love sometimes.
Well, I guess to quote Vince McMahon, I can't believe I'm doing that, but in the ECW first invasion of the WWE in like the 90s, like at King of the Ring in Philadelphia, when asked about it, he goes, "It was a vocal minority with a smattering of disagreement." So that's usually it, and it's the smallest contingent can light the fire of the pitchforks and what have you, and melees ensue.
Yeah, I mean, what I was thinking about like 2 years ago, just how much things have changed. I thought it was like a year ago. No, it's been like 2 years since I've been on your show.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, there was this thing that happened and I feel like the world over, which I utilize to reach out to people, because like nobody could say, "Oh, I'm busy. Oh, I'm washing my hair." No, you're doing the same. Like I saw your posts on the the book face and the gram of instant gratification and what have you, and the Twitter machine. Like I know
the
what
book of
you're
the
doing.
face.
Yeah, 100%. Like I know what you're doing, and it's pretty much nothing. So come on, let's kind of speak on this. And that was it. And like literally like 550 episodes of the According to Woods podcast in like, I don't know, 16 months.
Yeah, I mean, it was so different compared to what you usually do, because you're usually doing, like you said, like mixed martial arts, anything involving that. So you were doing According to Woods, which was interesting because you were just inviting people on to talk about what they were doing. And this is like, I think I had just got back on the road.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just got back from Orlando. So it was interesting for me because I was so used to being like closed off, and then I was going back, and I was like, I having anxiety about being out there in the world again. But I'm fine. Here I am. Rock on. Yeah.
And I feel like there's a trait, right? There's a bit of evolution, right? Because you went from being scared and not knowing, right? And that was the thing, the not knowing of what's to come, right? And then now I feel like everybody's kind of pessimistic towards everything, right? Like, oh, you like a show, screw the show, whatever, because like we're here doing the real things. Even like reality TV, I think gets like a unfair kind of whatever, because now there's like vloggers that are more authentic than like, I don't know, Real World or Kardashian show or whatever. And it's just like everybody's just wanting to kind of nitpick, I think even more than before. But also if you find these swatches of like goodness, like everybody wants to do it. Like I remember like Fuller House, right? The reboot of Full House, right? Like that became like everything, because like everybody just wanted like this kind of saccharine, high sucralose, sappy, whatever before everybody knew that the world was like crap, and they were doing the same things, like literally the same kind of storylines that they had done 30 years before, and it worked because we were looking for that.
Well, yeah. What do two interviewers do? We interview each other. Now we've introduced you to the audience of TWM.
Yes. So I mean, it's funny, right? So okay, so I know you're really into music, right? And I really want to get your take on it, because I know how I feel about it, but
oh no,
the world lost a legend yesterday in Tina Turner.
Tina Turner, oh my God.
Jeez, can we talk some Tina Turner?
We could talk about Tina Turner. I could do Tina Turner.
So, when were you first aware of her music? Anything like that she existed?
As far as Tina Turner, as a child, the thing that this is when I got older, of course. All I knew about Tina Turner was about the movie that was about her. What's Love Got to Do with It? But then, she had this miraculous comeback career. Then she wanted to do something different. And what I actually liked about her, she came back full like rock star Tina Turner with the hair. Like she was not going to be fucked with. She didn't care. No one was going to tell Tina Turner what she can and can't do at her age.
Yeah.
And she wailed, man. She wailed those hits. They were like, I wouldn't consider them necessarily pop. I consider them soft rock.
Yeah. Well, they became soft rock, but for the time, right? Like, on your oldie station 10 years ago, they would play like Elvis and Beatles hits, right? Now, it's crazy. Like where I am in LA, the K Earth 101, that was the oldies.
Are they playing something like the Spin Doctors or some shit?
No, the Foo Fighters. That's
oh my god.
Foo Fighters and Incubus. Yeah, that's
Oh,
what we grew
I
up listening to is now
I just
classic
got
rock.
scared. Like that was like my legit reaction. Like, oh my god,
Yeah,
Foo
yeah.
Fighters.
That's where we've gotten to. But I mean, I'm a gent of a gent of a certain age, so I'll own it, whatever. And barking at the moon, Aussie reference there. But it's like that stuff was better in my day. I feel like
Immunity.
yeah. Well, it's funny. Like I have this. So
My hair is
what?
everywhere, so I apologize.
That's
But
all right. My hairline is all over the place. So, but no, I grew up for the most part in Inglewood, California, right? And I mean, rap was gangster rap. I mean, if you played the wrong song going down the street, you might have caught a bullet. Like that's at the very least an ass whipping, right? So when I see like mumble rappers and stuff like that, and I'm just like, what, wait, how? And tattooed faces, but you've got like always tired or an ice cream cone, not like a teardrop that you killed somebody. No. You got ice cream cone and always tired. Like, how's that gonna look when you're 50?
I'm not opposed to like tattooing, because I got a shit ton of them.
Yeah,
But I've never really had a desire to tattoo my face or my neck.
it's a good one.
I don't know why. It's just never been my thing.
Yeah.
More power to everyone that can do it and is confident in do it, because I am not confident and secure enough to do it. The only tattoos I have roughly around my head is inside, like on my lip, the lip and behind my ears, but I've never had like a desire to tattoo like my face or my neck.
Yeah.
It's just, or my chest. Like I don't know why. I've just never wanted to.
Right. And to each their own, right? It's just a weird one, right? Like I've never been secure in any decision that I've made, that like everything could go fucking shit south and I'd have to apply for a job in Santa Monica, and they're not going to want that, right? Like, so and again, if you date it, good. So my deal is, imagine if you were like Chuck Berry or Little Richard or Otis Redding, all these like Black artists, right, that were trying to get and would see their art emulated in a blue-eyed version of it, right? In a Elvis, in a Jerry Lee Lewis, Chet Atkins, and Chet Perkins, right? And you see this happening, right? And you're just like, man, I just wish I could get on the, like our people could have a sound, right? Now you turn up, at least here in LA, you're gonna hear a mumble rapper, a Lil Wayne song on, alternative rock, the oldie station, the what is it, Power 106, the hip hop station, but also on K Rock, which again birth like, I mean, not to take it too seriously, right? But they birth Incubus and Linkin Park, but they also birth like Carson Daly, right, from pre TRL, right? So, but like the traditional like rock station of LA that broke in so many bands since like 1970 whatever is playing like Lil Wayne hits, and I'm like, there's not much content, and I'm sure like Fats Domino is somewhere rolling in his grave. Like we finally got the music and the culture in there, but it's not very good.
I'm pretty eclectic when it comes to music. I like all kinds of music. But I don't really listen to radio anymore. I'm always like on Spotify. I let Spotify decide for me, because I feel like the algorithm of Spotify speaks more to me than what's on the radio.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I do it in nostalgia. Like one of my buddies crap shitted on me for it, but like I do Amazon Music, which I feel like
I'm on Amazon Music.
Yeah. And I actually I pay for it, and I'm trying to figure a way not to, because it's like, oh, buy the merch, right? And you support the wrestler, the fighter, whatever. Well, none of that is true. And it's least true in music. if you pay a subscription service to a music, whatever, like a fraction of 2 cents is going to the actual artist. And if there's like five of them, right? If you're the Monkees, if you're the Beatles, if you're Incubus, right? If you're Slipknot, my God, 18 motherfuckers on stage, you're Chumbawamba and you're tub thumping. Guess what? That fraction of 2 cents is going 18 different ways.
Yeah, I have no idea how it works because I know nothing about music. And I mean, I know plenty about music, live music performances, you name it. I know about that stuff and promoting and things like that because I don't know if I told you on your show, but I had experience promoting in when it came to live music and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember if I had told you or not, but I do. But as far as how Spotify and like how the music is distributed, the same. I don't know how it works because I've never been on that back end.
Yeah, it's a shit show, and even like the promotion and everything like that comes out of the artist cut. It doesn't come out like advance for a record to book this recording studio. Like that doesn't come out of the record company. That doesn't come out of the manager. That comes out of the artist cut. If there's a feature, if I don't know, Drake does a feature on your song or whatever, well, that comes out of your cut. You're giving Drake whatever's fee from your cut.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people, like I had stated, like before, are opting to DIY more like their own home labels themselves versus signing with whoever. Because like when you sign, the whole purpose of signing, I'm assuming, I don't know. Well, I think the whole purpose of signing is to get you out there and more visible on all these platforms. But now with the age of like social media, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, a lot of things are a little bit more DIY friendly as to the avenue of you being able to do it yourself to get yourself out there.
Yeah, no, that's 100% it. And
if you know how to work it right.
Yeah, and I think that's it, right? And it's funny because I believe it's topical, but American Idol, right? There's a Polynesian gent named like I am Tongi, right? And kid from Tonga. He had lost his dad, and that was kind of like a tug at the heartstrings. Well, he won the whole damn thing, right? But my wife is kind of like, who is this person? Like he just came out of nowhere. Well, actually, he didn't. Him and his now deceased dad had been posting videos since of them, doing covers just in their living room for the past 10 years. And it took 10 years and the dad to die. And I'm not saying that, had any bearing to him winning or not, or him getting on the show or not. But with that all being said, it took a lifetime to become an overnight success. It took them 10 years of, what ended up being the last 10 years of this kid's dad's life to get him to a point where he's auditioning for American Idol, and because of his death has a sob story. Not just he's a talented artist and you like his singing, but now he has a story to attach to it.
Yeah. So what should we get into first?
Man,
we've talked over music briefly, and we've talked over Tina Turner.
Man, I mean, I'm an open book, but also, what is obviously you've got is that a coffin cat?
Yeah, hoodie.
Deal? Yeah. So, what is in your playlist? Like, what are you listening to right now?
My usual shit. Still on my horror punk psychobilly train. Everyone knows I'm a big Coffin Cats fan. I see Coffin Cats every fucking year. Like, I actually had Vic on the show not that long ago.
Nice.
So it was nice to have Vic on. Cool guy. If you ever get a chance to see them, I don't know if you have seen them live because I know you hang out. And
that's one off of my bucket list. There's a couple that I need to go see, but that Coffin Cats is one of them.
Yeah, but because they're spectacular live as a psychobilly band, it's very high energy. Yeah, it's very high energy.
I like.
I had asked Vic, I was like, what would you describe describe people that don't know you? He was all, well, we're like Motorhead meets Stray Cats.
That's what everybody should need in their life. A
Yeah,
little bit
like
of,
that's but yeah, definitely go see them live. Go see, him. And then he's got his guitar, his one of the original guitarists back, which is Tommy.
oh, nice.
So it's nice. It's the original lineup again.
That's awesome.
After they've been together for like 20 years.
You know what? Speaking of like money, man, there's money in reunions, right? Because like, I don't know. I mean, Journey is at their 50th, but they're like all at odds with each other. They couldn't get Steve Perry back,
Or Steve Perry. I mean, Steve Perry had an amazing fucking voice.
Yes.
Amazing voice. And then fucking throat cancer got that man. And that was heartbreaking to me.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too, because like most people will just go like they went from Steve Perry to, Arnel Pineda, the Filipino dude, right? There was literally like 6 other fucking
there's other people.
I mean, Jeff Scott Soto, who sang for Yang Wei
I do remember. Yeah.
Yeah. There was their first time back, because I believe like their Arrival, right? Arrival was their first album back, right? But I think like Trial by Fire, where they have this like, it was Steve Perry's last full album with Journey. I think it dropped in '96, and there was this big fucking sweeping ballad called like When You Love a Woman that was Journey's last moderate hit, right? Other than the 80s stuff that everybody sings at karaoke bars and what have you. But yeah, it's after that, Perry develops his ailment, and by I want to say '01, right? There was like a 5-year sojourn, but all the original members came back except for Steve, and they had this guy named Steve Augeri. And if you guys think that Arnel Pineda sounds like Steve Perry, Arnel Pineda, no disrespect, from the Philippines, born and raised, right? So he still has a bit of the accent and the phrasing, which there's nothing wrong with that. Fucking Steve Augeri. Go to Journey's Arrival. If you like the Steve Perry sound, you close your eyes and you will forget that it's not Steve Perry. That is the best like Steve Perry clone, I guess, in the vein that Journey has been looking for. And they hit it once, and then they went 5 other guys, and then they landed on the Filipino gent. Let's
also not forget Steve Perry had a solo career too.
Yes. Oh God. Fucking, what is it? Like body. I think it's like Night Talks or whatever, but like Oh Sherry.
I remember Oh Sherry.
Yeah. There's apparently somebody selling tamales on the street. It's
that happens in Texas. I'm happy to hear it. Yeah, that's a thing here in Texas. We have like how taco trucks?
Yes.
We got those with tamales, dude.
Fuck yes. I mean, maybe I go there. Maybe I go there. No, but
I'm glad to hear it happens in California too.
Oh,
I only lived in North Cal. I never lived in like Southern California.
Where in NorCal?
I used to live in the Bay Area.
I was born in the Bay Area.
I worked in Concord.
Okay. Yeah. So East Bay.
Yeah. I lived in Antioch.
Yeah. I've got family still in Antioch and Hayward and Vacaville. And,
that whole area. That whole, I used to work at Fry's.
Whoa.
I just dated
That's wild.
I dated myself.
That's wild.
I worked in audio inputting outputting, which is like like
AVs.
Yeah, that's what I worked in, and that's the department I specialized in. So I worked in audio equipment.
That's not, I mean, that's
not surprising.
Nice little bit of, right, but it's a nice little trivia bit,
Yeah, it's not surprising about me because, like, I don't know if other people know, like, some people know this based off of like my name and stuff, like my my social media apps and stuff, is that I actually work, I'm an IT tech too. I'm an IT and sound tech too, and people don't know that about me, but that's like legit what I do.
See, a true Renaissance woman. My goodness. Does it all.
Yeah. So
That's,
like,
I mean, I mean, it all makes sense. I feel like
people
it.
ask me like what is fries, and I'm like, think if Best Buy and Walmart had a baby.
Yes, but also like,
With Sam's Club.
but I mean, did yours have a theme?
Our fries, I don't remember. I do know we had a cafe in there,
Okay, yeah.
and we had all these different freaking sections. I remember them.
Yes.
Like bad. We even had a home theater in there.
Yeah, no, 100%. All of them did. So here in SoCal, the one we went to was like I want to say like Torrance adjacent, right? Like by LAX, and that one was tiki themed. So imagine like Best Buy in a fucking tiki bar.
Also
That's yes.
I think ours was just modern. Like it just
Okay.
looked modern. It was a modern design.
So the one by my house was probably the most famous one, right? Because it was space alien theme. So much so,
Shut up.
I shit you not, you could put it in
I've
the
only
Google
been
machine.
okay. The thing about fries is they would sometimes send you to other stores.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
only
yeah.
other store I went to that I had to go to is San Jose.
Okay, yeah.
But my main station was Concord.
Concord. Yeah, yeah, that makes
And
sense.
it was in the middle of like where all like that area had it was in that area there was a lot of like the section it was in, it had a bunch of like Asian market themes,
Okay.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
A lot of store, but basically Asian markets were there in that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, they had like boba tea places, like
Okay. Yeah,
in
yeah.
every corner, in every section, you could get a boba tea, which is like what
That's
contributed
kind
to
of
me
heavy.
being addicted to boba tea.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I've got boba. I've got three boba places like within 5 minutes.
My
So
friend Tong, I believe, owns a boba place in Tampa. He owns boba
okay.
places.
He extended his love for boba into a legitimate business. I
Yeah.
fucking love that.
Respect, man.
Oh
Respect to
yes.
Tong. Shout out to my friend Tong, man.
Yo,
Working in
I mean,
esports too.
yeah. Oh, hell yes. Right on.
Working
Yeah,
in
no,
esports and being the boba king of
I
Tampa.
mean, if you gotta live a gimmick, you might as well make it work. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
he loves it. He used to get mad at me for buying canned boba.
Oh, those are gross though,
I
right?
know. I mean, some of them are okay, but like I would intentionally just show him a picture of it. I would snap a picture
Oh,
and send it to him. He'd be like, "Oh,
are you trying to give him an aneurysm? And especially like, so my wife used to work at this place called 85 Degrees, right? Which is a Taiwanese, like boba house slash bakery, right? And like cooking fucking boba is hard, man. Like to get it right and not to get it
mm-hmm.
too crunchy or
You
too
have to,
soft.
yeah, or too icy because
Yeah.
people that make it frozen, like it's just
Mm-hmm.
too much ice. You have to know what you're doing. It's a
Yeah.
true art. It's an
No,
art.
they
Literally,
fucking
it's an
boil.
art.
Yeah, they boiled their fucking boba. Like
Shut up.
yeah, it's legit, man. If you can get to an 85, like that's it. There's like another like French baguette place that we've got
Oh,
here that it's weird, right? Like for them to have like Asian inspired French bakery. Like it's like you get your boba, but you could also get like a baguette with a fucking
baguette,
hot
a
dog in the middle.
baguette, bread,
Yeah,
bread, right?
yeah, the baguette. Yeah,
Baguette. There you go.
it's
I can't
yeah.
say it. Baguette. There you go. And that's because I
It
took French, dude.
oh, did you? I
Yes.
worked I worked at this place called Le Pain Quotidien, and that's as much. It's basically French for everyday bread. And I worked. I mean, it was in an update in Brentwood, right, where OJ allegedly killed his wife. Arnold Schwarzenegger's there. The whole thing or whatever. And they drilled in me. It's Le Pain Quotidien, and I'm like, okay, fuck. Like that's gonna serve me well in Inglewood, where I'm gonna have to go back to after this. Like
Yeah, I
it's
took French. I did okay. Didn't keep up with it.
okay.
Did okay. Took French. That was my foreign language. And also I did 3 years of American Sign Language.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, what is that?
I don't honestly know. Looks like I don't know, like bullshit.
That's exactly it.
It looks like bullshit.
Yeah, there's the bull
Bulls,
and
the
there's the
horns,
shit,
and
and
then
then
shit.
hell
Yeah.
yes. Hell yes. That's my favorite. I don't know if that's actually it because like
I think it is because
okay.
this would be bull and then to
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
love
that's how
that you made the sound effects for American Sign Language.
that's how my sign language teacher would teach me. That's how she would teach me. Like that's how like she would make you remember. Like okay, would sound like
Wow. Also, have you seen these like fucked up ass like I love when people do great at their jobs, but I also love when they fucking fail. Right. And
oh
not
my
just
god,
like
that's so horrible. What?
no, but like not like fail. Like I don't remember if you I don't know if you remember, but like there was this time like President Obama went over to like South Africa and they literally hired a fucking like schizophrenic person who knew no fucking sign language to be his sign language interpreter. Yes. This is like all the fucking security checks that you have to go through and whatever. They're like, no, this person, yep, 100%. And they were like just doing this and all this shit. None of it made sense.
None of it made
It was,
sense.
yeah. And I mean, and there was like, you have a potentially psychotic person literally 10 feet from the president of the United
Uh,
States. Like, the, and I love that. Like, I don't know why.
that's so
There's something
cruel. You're all
there's
like, I
something in
love
my
that.
brain that it's like, ah, it's so great.
Uh,
But you can achieve anything that you want, including being, I mean, literally, not actually having a lick of American Sign Language training, but to sign for the president, gibberish. It's
yeah.
amazing.
I think I have 3 years of certification that I don't use in sign
Okay.
language. So
Ooh. Ooh, can we go down that rabbit hole? What certifications do you have that you don't currently use or let expire?
well, okay, so okay, so in high school I did French, it's 1 and 2, didn't continue,
Okay.
but I was decent at it. It was whatever. Sign language I did about 3 to 4 years because I went to one of those prestigious high schools
Oh.
that well, it's a public school, but it's considered prestigious here because of courses that they offer that go into our college credentials.
Right. That makes sense.
Um, that's why that's why I get easily offended when people tell me I'm a fucking idiot because I'm like, no, I'm not. I am not a fucking idiot. You're an idiot.
The state of Texas Department of Education states that I'm not a fucking idiot, eh?
Yeah, I'm fancy and shit. Like I graduated in a large class.
Okay.
There was almost 600 graduating students in my
Jesus.
class. I graduated I think at 171 out of
Wow.
500, like 500 and something. It was almost 600 people in my graduating class. Um I was an overachiever.
Okay.
So I had more credits than the required amount. I think that would be described as distinguished
Yeah,
credentials.
I would
So
say, yeah.
I took AP courses. So I was in advanced placement for certain things, mainly literature. I was in advanced placement.
Okay.
Um, I did theater arts for a while.
Oh, you're a
And
drama junkie. Right on.
but no, actually, before that, I was actually in orchestra. I played violin. I
Whoa.
was, yeah, second chair. I wasn't first chair. I wasn't good enough to be first chair, but I was second chair player. My good friend in high school, who ended up becoming I think she became a plasmatologist.
Whoa. Talk
Yeah,
about going off the beaten path.
yeah, she was first chair.
Wow.
But I was second chair. That So I play violin, so classical. Yeah, surprising. No one knew that about me, and I'm like, yeah,
I feel like I'm like literally licking that out of you. I love this.
yeah.
Love this.
Well, my family actually comes from like my mom's side of the family is all majority is musicians.
Okay.
My stepbrother is a drummer.
Okay.
So he's not in a direct band, but he fills in. He's the drummer that they book to fill in.
Yeah. Oh yes.
So he fills in different bands. He plays anything from Spanish to metal.
That's awesome.
My stepfather did something in the music business. I think he did like I don't know. I think maybe like driving or roadie work. I'm not too sure. I don't know.
Okay, but still, that's
My grandfather was a trumpet player and a guitarist. He played with a lot of famous Spanish musicians.
wow.
And my sister was she won awards and competitions. She played keyboard and clarinet.
Okay.
She was also in ballet. I was in ballet at one point in my life.
The way your eye flickered, you didn't enjoy the time.
No, I like quit. Like I was more about I was more of an athletic child.
Okay.
I wanted to be in sports more than ballet.
Ballet, yeah,
Ballet is hard. I
yeah. It
will
is.
tell people that it is hard. So show
Yeah.
some respects. One of my cousins on my dad's side is a choreographer in New York
Okay.
for ballet.
Ooh. Yeah, you come from like a long lineage of skilled
Entertainment.
artisans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Entertainment. But so go to high school, blah blah. So I decide I'm gonna go become a a tattoo apprentice or whatever, body piercer. So I did that for a few years. So people don't believe me, but I'm in my 30s. Just for make it clear, I'm in my 30s. Did that for a couple years. Decided I was gonna go to art school. So I left the state of Texas, went to Atlanta to go to art school.
Okay.
Which I graduated with graphic design and a minor in sequential art.
Ooh.
So I used to do like comic book art, but
nice.
indie horror comic book art. I stopped doing that, and then I became a journalist.
Wow. So we plucked you from like a nice enchanted path of like literally the golden road, right?
Not really. I was going to be a struggling artist anyways, anywhere I went.
But that's usually, I mean, so you went from somebody that would have had a life that would have made a good interview. At the very least, that alternative path would have been a good story, right?
I'm still good. I still get interviewed.
Yeah. Oh, see, well, that's because you're interesting. Yeah. In the words of the great philosopher Shrek, you're an onion. You got layers.
Yeah, right? I did a lot of things. I still do a lot of things. Yeah, but no, that's roughly more. I actually wanted to be a surgeon.
Really? Like, I mean, cosmetic or
cosmetic surgeon. But you know why I couldn't? I don't got steady hands. So really? I opted to go to art school. I
mean, that makes sense.
And I work IT, so I work tech, so there.
I mean, that's steady enough hands, right? I feel like that's
either way, I'm pretty steady. When it comes to finances, like if I stop, like literally, if they're like, "Fuck Ashley," blah blah blah, don't book her for interviews, whatever, yada yada yada, it does not affect me. I still have I have enough credentials and so many things that I'm pretty steady.
Steady as she goes. Raconteurs.
Yeah, steady.
Yeah,
she goes.
There you go. Where does that come from? Like, where does like a lot of people say I do too many things, but like I do a lot of things in the realm. Like it's either people getting dumped on their head, right, or music, and that's it. And I do a lot of I permeate those deals. But someone with the experience that you've had. And
I'm still very fortunate and lucky, that.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's all about me proving people wrong.
Yeah, because also, I mean,
Drive to prove people wrong.
I'm a big believer in that, but also like you graduating with more credits than actually required, right? Is the same. I feel like it comes from the same place as you doing a lot, literally a cornucopia of things and finding your way and navigating through it.
Yeah, I mean, I've also competed at DreamHack for Mortal Kombat.
Jesus.
I think I showed. I think I was seven. Yeah, seven, top seven. I think I was number 7. So I didn't finish first or second, but I finished in top
Still,
8.
yeah, top 8, top 10. That's still pretty. I mean,
No, that's
most
still
people.
considered really good, but
Yeah, that people would have hang their hat. I mean, I would have fucking retired. Like I played one shot of top off. I did it 90 yards, and I was like, "Fuck this! I never want to do this again."
that
Because
was
it's
it
not
for
gonna.
me. And I wanted to prove that I still had it. I still
Yeah,
got it. I
it's
went
damn
out
right.
there and yeah, that's
You
it.
know,
No more fighting games for me.
well, good on you. But also, there's another trait that I feel like we could kind of talk about. But the fact that you basically tend to do things that are not normal, right? And then
I'm
you
not normal.
right, but I mean, what the fuck is normal anyway, right?
It's a
Like,
setting on a fucking dryer. That's what I tell people.
yeah, 100%. But also, you mentioned about like, being having the, like kind of proving people wrong, right? And in
I
this
like
kind of
I like
culture,
I like eccentric and I like out of the norm. You know
yeah,
that like
absolutely.
even my choices in like partners, like even thinking about it, like I get bored very easily. And I have to have someone there that's like that understands me. A lot of
Yeah,
people don't understand me, and that's totally okay. Like I don't need them to. But
yeah,
um I've always liked I've always been attracted to like the obscure and like out of the norm.
yeah.
And
That's
people think it's so weird, like because I get, you've seen how busy my Twitter feed is,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
I don't look at it sometimes, but it's because I get the same questions over and over again. Like, what am I interested in? What do
Hmm.
I like? And I'm like
Yeah,
there's like this much of stuff. Like there's other things I like besides pro wrestling. Uh,
right. Which I think it's funny, right? Because somebody that's as active in this Twitter space, such as yourself, right? And they're
or any
asking
social
you,
media aspect.
right? But they're asking, well, fucker, read. Like that's. I mean, you literally want to get inside the space between my ears. Literally, I just put it in 150 characters. Like, just read the timeline or fuck
It's not
off. I
even
don't
that. I
know.
don't even think my timeline is an accurate description of what I'm into. Most of it, it's involving like retweeting like impact stuff, um, or like my friends that work in pro wrestling. I put out their match cards, so it's not even a perfect accusation, in my opinion, of who I am as a person. I use it
Right.
more and less to help promote other people along with myself. And occasionally I'll throw out like a random question, or I'll just put a random saying
Hmm.
just to see what people say because I'm
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah.
I legitimately don't mean shit when I'm on there.
Yeah.
People need to know that, and I just say shit. Like sometimes I'll be like, to put it this way, a friend of mine in Canada that used to be a wrestler, like he retired finally, being an indie wrestler for all these years. Like after like 10 years. I don't know. He's gonna get mad at me
Mm.
if I get it wrong, but I can't remember. He had a long career. And just all over Canada, all over the place. And he stopped using his Twitter, and then he had said like one day, how am I supposed to know what I Dream of GD is? I don't even know GD.
Mm.
Like,
And what did that?
just to see what people will reply. But that's more or less how I am too. Like,
Okay.
I'm like, do you like tater tots or fries? Let's see where this goes and see if you're going
Yeah.
to start a fight, because
There you go.
there's always two people that fight over the dumbest shit.
Yeah. 100%.
Like, Does pineapple belong on pizza? Hell yeah,
Oh,
you can have whatever you want on pizza.
do
Oh
what
no,
the
no.
fuck you want.
Yeah,
It's,
no,
yeah.
you hell no. F you, dude. Like
Yeah.
it turns into a whole thing, and I kind of
Yeah.
get entertained off of the chaos sometimes.
No, that ditto,
I
ditto.
just go,
What the fuck did I just do? Yeah. I got into, and it's weird. Like I never try to reply. Like I've got this methodology of post and ghost, right? And
I posted a ghost.
yeah, 100%. And
I do that sometimes too. I just
yeah,
post and ghost.
that not none of it has to mean anything. Like it doesn't.
What do toilets represent? I think I had tweeted that one time.
Yeah. Well, see,
What
for
do
me,
toilets represent?
for me, I feel like I'm like a obsessive compulsive, right? Because like when I was doing the, the little mini docs for fighters and shit, like the promo packages, I was all about that, right? And then when I was doing the fucking Facebook lives, I was all about that. Then, when I went to a fucking show to do interviews, like I would get like
All into
if
that.
something,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the fucking podcast, right? And I did that, and I fucking collected fuck ton of Funko Pops. I had no Funko Pops pre-COVID and shit like that, So like, I feel like I just get obsessive. Like, and my new thing is the fucking people fucking lighting themselves on fire, going to a fucking street race, and the car fucking hitting them and shit like that. Like, I don't know what's wrong with my brain, but I was just like, fuck it,
Post it. Posting the ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, like they always ask me, and I'm like, I have a range of interest. I don't know how to answer you. I could be into one thing one week, and the next thing I don't know.
Yeah, fuck it all, right? Which has also been my thing about like tattoos or getting anything permanent. Because like theoretically, I would have.
I'll be honest with you.
What?
I forget I have them.
You do?
Yeah, I forget I have them.
well, I think that's a good thing, right? Because like it's become so one with you that you forget that you have them. I think that's a good deal. If I would have had a Red Hot Chili Peppers like logo tattoo, both my nipples pierced, maybe a fucking navel piercing.
Navel piercing?
Yeah.
You and a navel piercing.
There was. So I used to not. If you dared me to do something, I fucking did it. Right? That was like very much my teenage years, and those are three of the things that were. Well, the Chili Peppers logo, I fucking grew up for the most part. Yeah,
makes
in
sense.
Southern California, so fucking Chili Peppers, right? But
Anthony Kiedis is the man. You can't tell me otherwise.
Oh, that's another person that I might have met.
What? Anthony Kiedis? Shut up. You met Anthony Kiedis, dude?
Yeah, at an MMA show.
Shut up.
I shit you not. And that's also my life. I don't understand my life, right? Because like I just like combat sports and fucking music. And there have been times where like they've converged in wonderful ways. And like the fucking 16-year-old me would be like, what the fuck is going on?
Is he as wonderful as I thought he was? Is he delightful?
He is absolutely as wonderful. Like just pleasant. I'm actually going to let's see.
I was like, shut the fuck up. You did not meet Anthony Kiedis.
No, I've got photogenic proof. Again, like my life is weird. I've lived a fortunate one, like, and it's funny because like Tina Turner was like, you know what, I've done everything that I have to do, like if this ends, that's it, but also like I've said that, and then it gets better. It fucking
just gets better. Yeah. I think most of my thing that stems from everything is okay. Well, I'll give you a quick background, and then we get into your Californication life there.
Yeah, why not?
Meeting Anthony Kiedis and DANZIG.
Yeah. Oh, there's a few others.
Well, so a lot of people don't know this, but I've been vocal about it. My parents, of course, split up, as I grew up as a teenager. Well, not when I was a teenager, when I was a kid. My sister was a teenager when my parents split up. My dad left, went, married, remarried. My mom remarried as well, so whatever. All works out for the best. Everyone moved on. But predominantly in my life, younger, my uncle was in my life a lot. And my uncle was, we'll put it politely this way, my uncle was a very free-spirited man.
Okay.
Hung out with Ted Nugent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he would go hunting with them and stuff like that. I don't know Ted, but he would go hunting with them. And, my uncle passed away of cancer, like when I was in art school, when I was in Georgia. My uncle was very much a man that never settled down, but he was a man, what I would say, like, he was such a free-spirited man. He knew so many people.
Yeah.
And met so many people because he would get up and go. He lived his life his own way and didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And when he would come back home, he would come back to my mom's. And my mom would let him stay here for a couple months. And then my uncle was out there on the just out in the world again.
Yeah.
He would just get up and leave. So my uncle could be in Detroit. My uncle could be in Michigan. My uncle could be in Colorado. Wouldn't know. But my uncle also had a psychology major too. And he also did a lot of charitable work for Narcotics Anonymous in the area.
Wow, yeah.
With teens and stuff.
Wow.
Teens with substance abuse problems. That was his main thing. So that is what my uncle would do. He do that, but he was very much a man that he was going to live his life the way he lived it. He didn't care. So he would get up and leave and then come back, He knew a lot of people, like just a ton of people. But I guess a part of me kind of picked that up from him.
Yeah.
Is that it's very hard for me to, in the aspect of, I don't want to regret not doing things in life, which explains the wide range of
interest. Yeah.
Interest. And when I was in art school, I'll never forget, like, my uncle called me on the phone, like, this was a week before he was gonna go, and he told me he didn't want to do the treatments anymore. And I told him, well, I understand. And that's your decision. It's your life. You don't want to. And he said, okay. And then he told me he was proud of me. And I had told him why. I'm such a fuck up. He's all, no, you're not. He's all, I never had kids, but you lived your life the way you wanted to live it. And I couldn't want anything or expect anything more from you.
Wow. That's
so ever since even that was, my uncle passed away, I think, like, this has been years already. So that also kind of went with me in the aspect of, I'm going to keep doing all these things to broaden my horizons, because I don't want to live with the idea of, like, well, what if I would have done this?
right.
What if I would have done that? So, and it has nothing to do with, like, settling down. Of course, I want to settle down, and I want to meet someone, but I'm also very weird and peculiar myself. So I also like weird and peculiar. I like to keep things interesting.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And I also am highly educated, and when it comes to my academia too. So I need someone that can also mentally either keep up with me or teach me new things.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that what if, right? That's
the what if question is so
yeah, but the thing about it is, like, it is something that I feel like everybody has to address at some point, right? And my mom, and it was weird because I grew up with a stutter, like a fucking horrible ass stutter. My dad did before me, his dad before him, and even, the first couple of years of my son, like, he stuttered like horribly, right? But my mom ingrained in me the fact that, like, wasted breath to dying person is everything. So don't waste your breath. Don't say anything that you didn't mean to say, right? Like, treat every breath, and then my dad, like every word that comes out of it, have meaning behind it, right? If you're pissed, you're fucking pissed, and let somebody know where they stand with you.
That's
You
good.
know,
That's a good
yeah.
thing.
And I've kind of lived by that, that creed. And my mom also, like from Fiji, right? Like small island country. She didn't give a shit. Like, it doesn't matter if you have like fucking 10 cents in your fucking pocket. You better look like $1,000,000, because you just never know who's watching. Never know whatever. And you should want to present yourself in the best manner. Now whether that comes with tattoos, a suit, jeans, t-shirt, whatever the fuck. Like, you just look that, because that'll get you into some doors that might have otherwise been closed. So I don't know. It served me well, I feel.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel
solid.
like it should be his shirt.
Really, it should.
Yeah, memorialize them that way. I think they'd have a hoot.
Yeah. But yeah, that's in so many words, that's just how I am as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know how to answer certain questions sometimes. And it's not because I lack the intellect at answering them. It's just like,
Yeah.
how do I politely say this without coming off wrong?
And also the fact that you are thinking about it, rather than giving a cookie cutter, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine. Well, whatever the fuck, right? Like, so much bullshit and pander, right? You actually gave it time and effort, right? Headspace to reply in
I also think
the
that
authentic way.
I think the fact that I try to be as genuine as possible also reflects in everything too.
Yeah.
Um, like I try, but it's like if I don't answer you, I know people get offended,
Mm.
but it's also because I just truly do not how to appropriately say what I want to say without sounding fucking rude. And
Yeah.
that is never my intention, is to fucking be rude or cruel.
Yeah.
And things can get so misconstructed via like text message or response.
Hmm.
And that's one thing I've always strived to not do.
I like that you make the conscious effort. I do it, but I don't make declarations, right? Like, oh, I'm fucking never doing that. Yeah, and I think you caught a bit of it, our conversation yesterday, right? Like, I just don't like. I'll take fucking social media breaks and hide in fucking plain sight. Like,
Yeah.
my stuff is all there, nothing's deactivated. I've posted 6 memes, but I haven't posted anything in the last 12 hours because I don't need to. Like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that I give a I mean, like, I don't think that you should give a shit about me eating fucking tuna on toast. Like, you got better things. Go out and fucking explore the world. You
Well,
don't.
I don't even post that much anymore. Like I used to. Like I said, it's only for events and stuff now.
Yeah.
The most I post now is like I think the most place I post now is Instagram, but that's photos.
Yeah.
And Facebook, I'm hardly on there. I just go to peep what people were chatting about.
What was your first like social media? Like,
Ever
what did you do?
MySpace.
MySpace. Yeah, that was me too. Do you have any friends now that were in what was it? Your top eight? Wasn't that a thing?
Yeah, top eight
Do
was the
you,
thing.
Yeah. What was it? Started off at top five,
Yeah,
and then it
it went to
it
8 and 10.
grew. Yeah, with like a top eight, and then music
Yeah.
that you could put on your fucking page.
Um, and if you're asking if I talk to anyone from my top eight, no, I don't. Absolutely not. The friends I had, like we eventually all had falling outs, and how do I say this appropriately? It's like you come to the conclusion like those people were never your friends to begin with.
Yeah.
So, roughly, MySpace was during the time of when I was in high school.
Okay.
So, like, roughly at the age of like 16, no, 17, probably.
Okay.
I think, is when I started. And, you know, it was cool, you know, for what it was. You got to meet a lot of bands. You get to see music on there.
Right.
Aspect of things. But, you know, you could customize it at the time.
Yeah,
But,
glittery hearts. That was a thing. I feel like
yeah.
you're.
I didn't have glittery hearts, but yeah.
Well, the fact that they taught you how to run like an embedded player, and then also kind of teach you a little bit about HTML.
Yeah, I already
Yes,
knew HTML though, because I had learned
I
HTML
fucking
in middle.
didn't.
I learned HTML in middle school.
My first email address, because like, I didn't have a home computer, so like my first email address was like, it's not great to admit it, but like weak sauce 69 2003.
Whatever.
Do you know where that comes from?
No.
So again, growing up in LA, Kevin and Bean was the morning radio show on K-Rock, right? So, and my ode to them is, hey, what's good, party people? Because that some iteration of that was said on the Kevin and Bean show for a number of years, right? And so I like to give back to, you know, like the shit that I grew up listening to, right? That kind of formed me, right? So I heard them say weak sauce on my way to school. And then they took us to the computer lab for the fucking very first time, right? And they're like, set up an email. And I was like, what the fuck? Weak, huh?
You still remember the password?
I don't remember the password, but again, weak sauce, because I heard it on fucking Kevin and Bean. 69, because that was the whole thing. How can people embed like 69 into conversation or tattoo or whatever, right? And then 2003 was the year that I graduated high school. So week saw 69, 2003.
Oh my God.
My mom,
you're older than
me. It. Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a tad.
Yeah.
We could have still gone to high school though together.
Yeah, 100%. We would have been friends. We would have been.
I graduated in 06.
06? Okay. Yeah. So then, like, you would have been a freshman my senior year.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I have friends still. It's so funny. Like, I didn't. So here I am, like, months away from my 20-year high school reunion, right? I almost don't know any. Well, not that I don't know anybody in my graduating class, but like my senior year of high school, I didn't actually hang out with the seniors because they were all about fucking, you know, grad night and all the fucking whatever. We were living out of like a hotel. Like it was my mom's credit was bad, like whatever. Even though she worked, yeah, she worked at City Hall, like in the mayor's office in Inglewood, but like by no means. Yeah, it is rough, right? And then also when people are doing like acceptance letters and shit like that, like I didn't give a fuck because like I was in ROTC for 4 years, and in my head, right, like this is like post 9/11. I was going to go to the Air Force.
Yeah,
and my bread was buttered that way. But my dad, funny enough, was a musician, played keyboard, and even though he played contemporary jazz, I was going to
ask you if he was a guitar player.
No, well, he started off as a bass player, right? When he was in Indiana. Oh, guitar. That is a staple of the 80s that never really like transcended into any other decade but the 80s. It's so funny. But yeah, so yeah, he played contemporary jazz, but like he was a street performer and at Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. And he would stick me and my sister, like as young kids, like pre-kindergarten, on these 4-foot PV speakers. So, and we'd just be like, whatever, not knowing that we were just fucking decimating our eardrums. So by the time I, go to the fucking military processing center, they're doing all the tests, and I'm all like, oh, I'm going with them, right? And funny enough, just a side note, I don't know if you know, but like they check for polyps. Have you heard of such a thing?
Yes, I've heard of such a thing where they check for polyps.
Yeah,
I was not expecting this conversation to go here.
Oh, that's I thought you
Yes,
said you dig the quirky. I mean, this is where we're going.
yeah, but it's like I was not expecting this. But yes,
yeah, no, 100%. So here's the thing. So to check for polyps, they literally were like, drop trow, grab your ankles. So I'm like literally my butthole is shown the other way, right? And the dude takes like a fucking not the stethoscope, but the thing with the fucking light and that he sees through, whatever. But that would have been normal, right? And not that I mean, if that's your deal on a Saturday night, more power to you. But what I wasn't expecting was him to fucking cough to my asshole. So I was like, I'm getting in, right? Sexual harassment, like what the fuck? Like, I'm getting in. They're like, no, Mendejo, no. Like, no, you fucking can't hear. We can't have you fucking flying around jets and shit you can't hear. So yeah, that ended it. But that's the reason why I didn't necessarily like hang out with the people, whatever, because they were all like academia kind of focused. And I was just like, fuck, I got this ride. Like you guys are paying for college. Cool, bro. I got like a $20,000 signing bonus. That's it.
Yeah,
I'm out.
Weird in high school.
Were you?
I mean, I was super punk, like super fucking punk. Like I mean, I had like just even based off of what I wore. I worked at an arcade. I worked at a pizza place that had an arcade. So I worked in an arcade place. And I did that for like a miserable amount of years. I did. It was
even after high school.
No, after high school, that's when I started working at a convenience store.
Okay.
And then I was going into like the body art industry at that time. So that's roughly when that happened, that section of my life. But yeah, no, like I was super fucking punk rock. Like, I mean, I think I like partied almost like every other day. There was a show every weekend, so I always saw like some band. I had orange hair, I had fucking blue hair. I always had my hair black too.
Okay.
And bleach blonde. I had green hair at one time. I also had like a I had razored hair too. Like,
okay.
Like where it was teased. I had that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I had that too. My makeup pretty much hasn't changed. It's gotten better, but it hasn't changed.
Right on.
Let's see. I had like animal print, pretty much everything that you could think of. I had plaid. I wore a lot of plaid too. That was very popular amongst me.
Yeah, that's definitely a punk staple.
Yeah. 20 different fucking belts. I don't know. Bracelets.
Did you have the one with that it was like the refurbished car seatbelt thingy?
No, I didn't have a seatbelt belt. No, I didn't have that, but I did have a bondage belt, the one that had the loops, like Sid Vicious.
Yeah.
I had that belt. I also had one. I had different belt buckles too.
Did you have the star?
The nautical star?
No. This I feel like Shifty from Crazy Town. He has the star on his elbows. Like I mean, the star that I'm thinking of, like of the early 2000s, like it was either
stenciled star or nautical star.
Right, and then
I have a nautical star.
Okay, cool.
I do have a nautical star tattoo.
Okay.
I have a nautical star tattoo behind my ear.
Oh, nice.
For direction.
Yeah.
Because that's what it represents, like direction. And then and then I have a black heart because I like Joan Jett. And my heart is black like my soul.
Ooh, nice.
I'm just kidding.
I almost feel like I wanted to go like, oh, because Owen Hart, right? Like
you wanted to say because we were Owen. Yeah. That's how we first like met.
Yes.
Because we both liked Owen Hart.
Yes. And that's the thing, right? So like, oh my God. So I think in the conversation of like greatest of all time, and this is so weird, right? Because I'm about to contradict myself and I know it, but fuck it. And I also don't like to engage in this greatest of all time because it's subjective, because there might be a fucking robot. Like, who you think is the greatest of all time? There might be a robot that can do everything your favorite person, place, or thing does. and does it better, and then that fucking robot is the GOAT of all time. Like, well, I'll give a shit. So it's all subjective, which is what you like, right? But like Bret Hart, in terms of the wrestling space, arguably one of the greatest of all time, right? I think that's
technical wrestlers, yeah,
of all time. I think we could say it now, but Owen was better.
Yeah, Owen also did high flying. He was in New Japan.
Yes, he did Lucha Libre.
He did. He was he was a very good heel.
Yes,
he was believable.
His character work was way better than Bret's.
Yeah, but yeah, no, like that's who I was in high school, man.
Yeah,
that's who I was, and like I have all the fucking tattoos that prove otherwise, that people don't believe.
Yeah,
I have every like I probably have like almost every stereotypical like punk tattoo at least.
Okay.
I have the black heart. I have the nautical star.
I have
Fiend.
Punk. Okay, that's what I was going about.
My lip tattoo actually says Fiend.
Okay.
For Fiend Club.
So you did the lettering of Fiend rather than the face.
The logo. So the lettering, it says Fiend.
Nice.
I have a social distortion tattoo.
I mean, take away this ball and chain. My goodness.
Yeah, like I have a lower class brats tattoo. I have a coughing cats tattoo. I have and I also have a Clash tattoo.
Of course, fucking Joe Strummer. Jesus Christ, man.
I have the stereotypical 13.
Oh yes,
I have like 13 tattoos. I have.
Wasn't that a brand though that they made? Like they made a brand out of 15.
There's Lucky 13, and I actually have, and then there's Lucky 13 Inc.
Okay,
so I actually have like an affiliation with Lucky 13 Inc. So I am
nice.
But yeah, like no, I have every stereotypical, like if we're talking social media, I did MySpace a lot, but I was on FooBar.
Okay.
And I was on Vampire Freaks.
Okay. A lot of those like chats or
yeah, they were kind of like similar to like
message boards and shit.
Message boards and MySpace.
Okay.
But yeah, I was on Vampire Freaks because like I didn't like admit it till recently, like, but a lot of people didn't know that I was really into goth guys.
What? I would have never.
I was a really punk rock chick, but I was in
like, you know, and it's weird too. So like with me, like I go through iterations, right? Like where, like right now, I'm listening to a lot, and I don't know if it's like the kinship to my parents who are no longer in this existence, but like I'm listening to a lot of the shit they used to listen to that I would myself, when I was growing up, change the channel if they had like went to the supermarket and left me and my sister in the car, and we're like, my sister's trying to change it to fucking pop radio so she can hear fucking NSYNC and whatever the fuck, and I'm like, no, we need more fucking Incubus, whatever. Like, yeah, I want to listen to Korn, goddamn. Yeah, so you know, but yeah, like I go through phases, right? Like, and that goes into like my wrestling, right? Like, I actually, my favorite era of wrestling is one that was kind of fiscally damaging to the WWF in the sense of the new generation. I fucking love Razor Ramon. I love fucking Bob Holly, Thurman Sparky Plug, fucking like all of those like weird fucking gimmicks and shit. Like, give me Nails, give me fucking Barry Horowitz, like give me all that shit, man. Like, which funny enough, Horowitz didn't he just make a run in Impact?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so like I love that era, you know, and then also like my favorite Mania, right, was Mania 10, right? Because it's the fucking hearts, right? Mm-hmm. You start off Bret and Owen, right? And you know, like they've got their feud and they need to tie it up. Owen beats Bret, right? Of the fucking, you know, what is it, the victory roll, and then fucking Owen kind of kiboshes it, whatever, right? And then you also have to tie up, well, fucking Bret and Lex, right? They were, you know, they went over the top, you know, at the same time at the fucking Royal Rumble, so you got to fucking figure that shit out, right? And then Lex faces Yoko, right? You somewhere like midway, whatever, gets a count out victory, right? And then Yoko's fucking battered and shit like that. And then he goes on to face Brett, right? He does a twofer in one night, right?
Mhm.
Both of them championship fights. Goes to face Brett, and fucking slips on a banana peel. And then fucking Brett beats fucking Yoko, where Yoko fucking kicked his ass. Well, I think Mania, Yoko kicked Brett's ass, and then Hogan comes in. It's a whole fucking shit show.
The whole thing.
Right? Yeah. But you get at the end, like literally right as Mania's closing, you have the Steiners come out for Brett. Fucking Roddy Piper's already the referee. Macho Man is there. Probably like Tatanka, whatever, and they're all fucking cheering Brett. And you see Owen come out of the fucking tunnel, right? And like Macho literally is like fucking, come on, Owen, holding the fucking ropes out for him. And then Owen's like, you motherfucker, like I beat you, like I should be champion. And it tells a consistent storyline, and then also it leads up to where, if you were going to see WWF, at a house show or whatever, well, it's going to be Brett and Owen for the next year.
I went to a lot of WWF house shows. We say WWF, we know it's WWE, everyone, right. Whatever, but back in the day it was WWF. So yes. I used to go to the house shows a lot because I was taken there as a young wee Ashley.
Oh, wow.
So wrestling's been in my life since I was born. It's an ongoing joke that wrestling was in my life while I was in the womb, because my grandmother loved lucha libre.
Really?
Yeah, my grandmother was like really big into lucha libre. Same thing with my mother.
Wow.
So
I mean, where is this all taking place? Like what region?
South Texas.
Okay. So I mean, if they're watching lucha libre, it's coming in through Spanish language station from Mexico. So probably they were watching CMLL, right? Because
probably. I think so.
Yeah, like 100 years old, Arena Mexico, one of those stuff. Which I feel like South Texas, like maybe they got, they might have caught a little bit of like Joe Blanchard's territory that where
I'm not honestly sure.
Because Joe Blanchard is Tully's father, right?
Yeah,
so like
I'm not too sure, honestly. Not sure. I was never like the territory stuff that I am familiar with very well, of course, is, the one with Stu Hart,
Yes, fucking Stampede. Fuck yeah.
Stampede. Because I have the the map for Stampede, the breakdown of everything.
What?
Well, not like a physical map, but I have like the breakdown of it because it was like gifted to me from a friend of mine in Canada.
Whoa, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So that's what I'm familiar with because a lot of people knew that I wrote a lot about Canadian wrestling.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because people automatically thought I was from Canada or I was from Winnipeg because I wrote so much about Canadian wrestling.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, if we're talking about like wrestling media and journalism, I'm just more known for Canadian wrestling.
Yeah.
But I do know a lot about Japanese strong style, lucha libre, Impact, clearly, because I'm there. I know I have a wide preference of like an idea of where everything is.
Yeah.
And but yes, but so a lot of people thought I was Canadian originally.
So funny enough, right? So again, my mom from Fiji, she had the fucking British Commonwealth accent, right? And even though my sister and I were both born in San Francisco in the United States and what have you, we picked up a little bit. And if you can kind of, dig a little bit, you hear a little bit of accent, right? So when I was growing up in Inglewood, right, from 9 to 21, right, I was, people were like, whitewash, you like Carlton, you're Oreo, you're white on the outside, white on the inside, black on the outside, right? So to combat that, I'm like, no, like I come from Fiji, right? There's a little island full of different versions of me that speak just like this, whatever, and like whatever. So at some point, I just got tired of explaining it, and this is before, like Britney Spears was going there on vacation, or Fiji water. Like this was late 90s,
Fiji
early 2000s.
water
Yeah,
from the mountains.
but this is way before that. Like even like the Blue Lagoon with Brooke Shields, right? Like,
oh shit,
people in Inglewood didn't necessarily know that, right? Like it was just. And if their parents watch, it's not going to be talked about, from 99 to 03, right? So I just got fed up with it, and I just told everyone I was Canadian. When they were like, "Oh, we're going to drink Coronas," I was like, "You need some fucking Molson's, eh?" And like, "What are you talking about?" Like I would just, and I was like, "Oh, you're going to fucking Burger King? Cool. Get me some fucking Tim Hortons and some Tim Tams." Like, I just. To the extent that people were still like, "Wait, you're not Canadian?" It's like, no, fuckers, you just annoyed me with the questions, so I just told you I was Canadian.
Yeah, like they're like, "You're not Canadian." I was like, "No, bro, I'm actually Mexican."
That's hilarious. We both.
I'm like, "No, bro, I'm Mexican."
Yeah,
sorry,
that's for Canadians.
No,
I like it.
Yeah, but a lot of people thought I was originally Canadian. I'm like, no, I never said I was Canadian.
You just reported it. Yeah, fuck
I just
yes.
reported it because I love Canadian wrestling. Like, simple as that. I love Canadian wrestling. Like, that's the reason why.
It was better though. I feel like I'll watch like even like the Montreal territory, like Dark Side of the Ring. They have the Dino Bravo episode, right? And then like I went on YouTube and just like, because I like the way. Do you ever just like rings, like the setup of a fucking territory?
Yeah, that's the first thing I'd look at.
So what are some of your favorite rings, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I don't like 6-sided rings. I can tell you that much.
Okay.
Back in the day, they used to use boxing rings, so that's out of the question because of
yeah, too hard.
They're too hard in the way they're constructed, the ropes.
Right.
Interesting enough, I want to say Edge and Christian were first trained in a boxing ring.
Yes, at Sweet Daddy Siki's.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily have a favorite type of ring. I have a preference, like a checklist preference. I like the construction to be firm, but not too firm. So because I don't like the visualization when they don't tape the boards and the ring is not appropriately steady and it bounces.
Right.
So that tells me you didn't tape your boards right.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more about the construction and the sturdiness and the safety.
Okay. So more so than the visual
aspect. Yeah. Okay. I don't care about the visual aspect. Lucha Libre rings are incredibly hard.
Okay. Oh fuck! They're cement. They're literally
cement. They're the most stiff rings, but probably the most architecturally sound and presentation beauty wise.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They probably provide that great look, like that aesthetic look.
Which, funny enough that you say that, right? Like because Arena Mexico, the same family that started. That started CMLL. They also own, Arena Mexico, right? So that's just like the McMahon family owning Madison Square Garden.
They
right?
own that one.
So first off, like the cement rings, there's a reason why Lucha Libre is a lot of tumbles and flips and everything. Nobody wants to take a flat back bump on that motherfucker. And that's how Lucha Libre becomes, right? Yeah. But it is said that if you see somebody roll or whatever, you can actually see dust come off of the CML ring.
I've never paid attention to it, but I believe it.
Yeah.
It's been there. Visually, it's more of like it gives a certain aesthetic and appeal.
Yeah. No, so some of my favorite rings, right? So Montreal, right? The Al Tomko promotion, like the early days of Dino Bravo and fucking God, what's his name? Angelo Mosca. Like there was so many guys, but like the way the ring looks, amazing, right? Also Mid-South, Bill Watts, that fucking ring looks gigantic. And then when you put a junkyard dog in there, and like when Andre came to town, like it just looked amazing. Also, the old WWF ring, right? Like Superstar. Like I remember
The one from Superstars that's like blue and red.
No, like this
red
is
and then
Superstar
blue.
Billy Graham, R.I.P.
Oh, okay.
And Dusty Rhodes.
Oh,
And
okay.
when
So before that.
yeah, the when Vince Sr. was running it.
Oh,
And
okay.
it was just like that ring. It's I don't know what about like it just
because Superstars, I can't remember if it was blue, red, blue, but the ropes were I think
yes.
red, blue, red,
yes.
and then the canvas symmetry, the skirt was blue.
Yes. And then later on they had the WWF like actual like I don't know if they
it was like kind of square looking. Had that squared font.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean like and also I miss the sound of rings, right? Like
they have a particular sound.
WCW's wrestling, like the wrestling ring sound for Nitros, is probably my favorite ring sound. Especially like if Arn Anderson hit a fucking spinebuster and on a motherfucker on it, it's just a whop. Oh god, like look. I mean, I could just visual like that's the shit I want. But also, I mean, if you listen to early like the new generation, pre-Attitude Era, they had a pretty crisp sounding ring, which
it does have a particular sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to do with the performers, I think, and also the construction,
right?
Because I remember,
that Vince was actually putting microphones
underneath
at the bottom. Yeah. Oh, have you seen the Mysteries of Wrestling?
No.
So back in the day, like early 90s Fox, right? This is, I think, maybe after In Living Color, but maybe like the last couple seasons of Married with Children, right? Fox had a hard-on for like mass things where like they had the mass magician talking about all the fucking,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they had the wrestling version.
I didn't know that they had a wrestling.
Yeah, the secrets of the fucking ring and whatever. And supposedly, allegedly, a scorned, and to me, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, but a scorned Harley Race was the one that was.
Of course, it would be Harley. God rest his soul. But of course, it'd be Harley. Right? Of course, God rest Harley's soul. But,
yeah.
Of course, it would be Harley.
It's like motherfucking. I couldn't get that Hogan payday for Saturday night's main event. Fuck it, I'll expose the business. Like that's in my head. That's what happened.
I was like, of course it'd be Harley, but
yeah. Did you have any interactions with him?
No, had any interactions with Harley. Harley, I think, already like passed away or something.
Okay.
At the time, I don't know, but that was all. Of course, it'd be Harley. But I've heard enough stories about Harley, both good and bad. But I understood.
Yeah,
I totally understood where he came from, though.
Jesus Christ, man! Like that dude, right? Like he's like his parents left him when he was like 15, and like most people talk about like Brock Lesnar having like that farm strength or whatever. No, fucking Harley Race was literally tending a farm, and he had people working under him at 15.
Yeah,
right. And then. What was the whole deal about like you heard about the Skidmore bully incident?
No.
So there's this place, Skidmore, Missouri, right? And very small town, and apparently this is by where Harley, farm, the Race family farm was. But this fucking guy would come, and he knew what day that Social Security benefits came in, and knowing the fucking old geezers would fucking want to go to the bar, right? So he would fuck them up and steal their damn Social Security money. So that dude, I don't know what the fuck happened with Harley and shit like that, but he fucking crossed Harley. So fucking Harley fucking decked that motherfucker. like
So what you're saying is Harley taught him a lesson.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if any of those people got their money back, but that motherfucker got.
He
Yeah, I'm
learned
just
that
saying.
day, the day he crossed Harley.
Oh hell yeah! Well, and then obviously the deal with his he was had just started on the road, and then his wife, I think he was like 19, like his wife was pregnant with their son and whatever, and they get into this car crash, and they both the wife and the unborn child die instantaneously.
That's
right?
horrible.
And they land in a ditch, and Harley with a fucking broken neck pulls himself out of the ditch into the main road, right? And he was wrestling for Gus Caras, not Dos Caras, not to be confused with Alberto Del Rio's dad, but Gus Caras, right? The promoter up in Missouri. And they're about to amputate fucking Harley's leg. And Gus goes, fuck no, you ain't. And he goes into the fucking surgery, pulls Harley off the fucking table. It was like, nope, we're going to save this kid's leg. His fucking leg was mangled. And, he ends up becoming, like, everybody talks about, like, Ric Flair and the fucking, plane crash. And not to say that that's not traumatic and whatever. And what Ric Flair ended up doing after the fucking plane crash was way more, whatever. But fucking Harley literally lost his wife and kid, after 4 years after he was left as a fucking kid, whatever. And, the promoter is just like, no, like, fuck, we got to save his leg. He's my wrestler, whatever. And he hadn't done shit in wrestling, but Gus just fucking had, whatever about him, and decided he wanted to interject. It saved Harley's, leg, and he ended up wrestling, having a tag team, one of the best tag teams they said ever was, that doesn't have any actual, like video proof of him, was the fucking I can't remember what they called them, but it was Pretty Boy Harley Race and Larry Henning, Kurt Henning, Mr. Perfect's dad. They were in a tag team in the AWA. And if I could get some footage on that, that would be amazing. But like, it's fucking wrestling, man. These characters that come out of wherever the fuck, anywhere, and just go like, we're gonna fucking, beat each other to death and also sell some gimmicks. Let's do that.
That being said, not to get off the subject of wrestling. So we've talked about me.
Yes.
To an extent. What about you, Woods? Let's talk about your growing up in Californication.
Yeah, man. I'm truly a California kid. So I was born in NorCal, right? And born in San Francisco. We lived for a time in Marin County, the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge. My dad, he played street. Yeah, he was a street musician, right, at Fisherman's Wharf. So part of my love for pro wrestling is the fact that I couldn't actually play sports, right? Like, I could do the fucking
I hear they have
practices.
Clam chowder over there.
Oh yeah. Oh god, in the fucking sourdough bread bowl. Jesus Christ. You haven't lived till you had San Francisco clam chowder on Fisherman's Wharf, where you get fresh clams literally that came in that fucking day. It's amazing. Yeah, so I couldn't play sports because I could attend the practices, but Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were when tourists came to San Francisco, and that's when my dad made his money, right? So I couldn't actually play on the fucking game. So I just kind of turned all my attention to fucking pro wrestling, right? So from there, we end up in Fiji, where my mom's from, stayed there for a bit, came back to the States, then Indiana, where my dad's from, Las Vegas, New Mexico, Georgia, and then Inglewood. And on all these places, again, like there were times I didn't know who my family were. We didn't, there wasn't social media and what have you, right? So like, you maybe would get a call, every so often from an uncle here, or grandparents there, or whatever, right? And our friends, like, even like vacations. I fucking hate vacations as an adult, because that's the very thing my mom would tell me and my sister to kind of circumvent the fact that we were never coming back to this place ever again, right? So everything that we had, whatever, like, I was used most of my like adolescence, just living out of a fucking backpack, like because we'd have to be on the go and shit like that. It's kind of crazy, but like no matter where I was in the world, I knew I could either turn on the local Fox affiliate, right, and watch WWF Superstars, or I could, at the very least, go to a video store and rent wrestling videos, and that became it. And I, did I at one point I was into like comic books. At one point I was into fucking basketball and baseball and all that shit. But like once we started moving, and then I'm like my life basically became centered around combat sports, anything in a ring, and then later a cage. So boxing, wrestling, Muay Thai, whatever I could get my hands on.
I think you and I've had like an extensive like conversation about just martial arts and the practices of it. Because like me and you went over it, like, because my dad took some martial arts, and I took some form of martial arts, because I don't know if I mentioned that to you.
What did you do?
Kickboxing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That I had did so yeah, I pack a powerful punch. So
fuck yes.
That is true.
Hell
yeah.
yes.
I kick a lot harder.
There you go.
But
as well you should.
But in all fairness, that also has to do with the sports that I played too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, a ballerina turned fucking kickboxer. That's a badass.
No, I wasn't like pro or anything. It was mainly just for exercise.
Yeah, you don't have to be a pro to fucking break somebody's nose. And
I can't talk about that on air.
Okay. Statute of limitations ain't up yet. That's what happened.
Talking about that, but so I think you and I've we extensively talked about martial arts.
Well, you know what's funny? I'm not actually a fan of martial arts, because I always grew up with like bullshit, like, oh, my hands are registered as weapons, or I can fucking touch you with a fucking pinky finger and you fucking fall dead, or you piss yourself, or whatever the fuck, right? Like, to me, everything is practical, right? And that's where like MMA comes into the deal. Like, I love watching those videos of like these kung fu masters that have trained and have all the fucking sashes and shit, whatever the fuck, and then like the lowest tiered CTE fucking kickboxer or MMA person or an amateur or whatever just beats the fuck out of them. Like, I love that shit, because like, fucking be real. Like, you want to call yourself like sensei this, sensei whatever, but like, what is it? This is pretty form. Like, I went to a martial arts like competition not too long ago. Like, I'd say right around like COVID, when things started kind of opening up and whatever. And literally, there was a martial arts where they were judging Xiaos. That's it. And I was like,
that's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Or like what you could do with a fucking bow staff. Okay, what are you going, like, where are you going to, in a fight, where are you going to find a bow staff? Right? And if you found a bow staff and you use it correctly, oh, you're going to fucking split somebody's fucking jugular vein. Like, what the like, why?
Question.
Yo.
How do you feel about power slap?
Man, I go back and forth with it. It's a fucking train wreck. There's somebody that's going to die. I feel like there's somebody that's going to die because it's an unprotected fucking headshot. Somebody's slapping the fucking ever-living shit out of it. Like, that's, that. And even if you get to I don't know, like an echelon of like a world champion power slap, what does that even fucking mean?
That you ain't gonna take no shit, Woods, that you could slap a motherfucker.
But versus a fucking like a bare knuckle boxer versus an arm wrestler.
Look, I don't know. Like,
there's levels to this shit. Where does this fit?
I don't know, but they have a belt, and I'm surprised. I mean, Muay Thai. Did I ever tell you what my first experience with Muay Thai was?
No, please do.
Daredevil.
Really?
The comics. Yeah, like
Okay. I was like
never
the Ben Affleck movie?
the comics. Because like in the comics, like the Frank Miller version,
Yeah.
that's where like he just like rapping and stuff like that with the rope.
Okay, yeah.
And I kind of was like really happy that in the Netflix show that they showed that. And they
Yeah.
explained it was like I think they explained it was Muay Thai
Yes.
that Matt Murdock knew.
Yes. That wow, okay. Well, you know what? It's just like, people that got into wrestling watching fucking Total Divas. Like whatever fucking gets you in, like
Hey,
once
nothing
you're
against
in,
Total Divas. It was an entertaining show.
okay. I watched it because I always love seeing wrestler reactions when they weren't supposed to be fucking filmed. And there's a I believe it's Hawk, right? And Matthew from Botchamania used to have this in his intro, but like somebody was doing a fucking interview, right? And Hawk is doing whatever the fuck in the background, and then he turns around, realizes that they're fucking filming, and it just has this bewildered fucking look, like, what the fuck do I do? So
like a deer in headlights.
Yes. So Total Divas was that for me. We're like, just kept like I would just watch whoever the fuck was in the background that wasn't supposed to be, that was supposed to be, protecting whatever shred of kayfabe that there still is, and then like, oh fuck, and then they just try to whatever and buck me, like duck behind a fucking, a fucking case, like a touring case or some shit. Stupid. Like, yeah, I didn't give a shit about any of the storylines. I didn't give a fuck whatever. I was just like, I wanted to see who's gonna be incognito this week.
So what was your first introduction to like martial arts and knowing the world of martial arts?
My first introduction to martial arts was actually Bret Hart versus Randy Savage Saturday Night's Main Event.
Shut up.
1987. Oh yes, that was the first. So when I saw them, right, and I was into cartoons, right, like I had like tapes of Mighty Mouse and shit like that, and
Mighty Mouse.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is gonna go into my story, but I want you to finish.
Okay, 100%.
Because it has to do like Mighty Mouse.
Oh, I love it. So
you're gonna love this story, but go ahead.
Oh yeah. So here's the thing. We had a Victorian apartment in San Francisco, right? And I'd be watching Mighty Mouse, but like a fucking precocious kid, and my parents are like, "Oh, this motherfucker is gonna probably jump out of the window one of these days. Like he has to have something else, right?" So one of the nights my dad was playing, it was just like a Saturday night, and my mom and I were at home, and I think I was 87. I'm 2, like just starting to walk, right? And we had the Victorian house, our apartment, and there was laundry. Whatever. My mom needed to do laundry, so she put me down. And when you could still do this, she was like, "Okay, baby's asleep. I'm gonna do the laundry, and then I'll come back and I'll do the shit that I need to do." Right. So I don't know what happened, but I must have heard the door slam or felt my mom wasn't there or whatever. I start wailing to the extent where like the neighbors go to the fucking basement in the laundry room, get my mom, like, baby's crying, baby's crying. Mom comes up in a fucking heat in Fijian, and like my child, like, Luvengu, what's wrong? Whatever, wailing, whatever. So she's like, "Oh, it's Saturday. Let me fucking turn on the TV. There's cartoons." She turns on, it's Saturday night, right? Still clicking the fucking channel, no cartoons. I stop crying, and it's that very match. And it's probably the only time that they, in video form, ever faced each other in a one-on-one contest. It was one half of the Hart Foundation, flanked by Jimmy Hart. I think Danny Davis was there, the evil referee. Jimmy Hart, Jim the Anvil, and with Macho and Liz. And I mean, it's a beautiful match that went, I believe, 2, if not 3 segments. I can play it out in my head, but that was the first combat sports anything, right? So when I saw Mike Tyson in a ring that was much like the real life cartoons, the real life Mighty Mouse of a Macho Man or Bret Hart, right? And then I see Mike Tyson knocking motherfuckers out in headgear, because I'm that old. That's how Mike Tyson, as a fucking amateur in Golden Gloves, knocking motherfuckers out in headgear, And I was like, oh, it's kind of the same, right? And then Butterbean. I thought fucking Butterbean was going to be like the next world champ because he did the same shit as Tyson, knock motherfuckers out in headgear, you know? So the first combat sports deal was Savage and Hart. And those are two guys that I hold dear probably until my dying day, you know? And the thing about it is like, most people are like, much like you, right? Most people are like, oh, I watched wrestling when I was younger or whatever. I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, I know as a human being, my memories, my parents, some cartoon, and wrestling. It's literally the fourth thing that in my mind that I know to be whatever. I don't know fucking school. I don't know whatever. I know wrestling.
I always wonder like where your knowledge came from in pro wrestling, because you always just knew, like you remembered like certain things that was not like, it wasn't your standard statistic, like, oh, so and so won this at this date. Like
Right.
you would know exactly where it was, what town, and what the place looked like. So I always wondered how you knew, but now I know.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And that's why, you know, going back to like the favorite rings and stuff like that, like it's the feeling that I get. Like I will go to sleep, and I'm not the only one. Guess what? Rick Rubin was on Rogan not too long ago. He does this too. But the wrestling that he used to like, right, that he grew up watching as a kid, he goes and uses that to fall asleep. Pisses his wife off, pisses my wife off, 100%. But to soothe, that's what it is. So I'll put on a fucking new generation, whatever the fuck, like WrestleMania 10 or, you know, superstars of that era. And that is my, like when shit is going chaotic in the world, that is my North Star.
Place.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. You promised me a Mighty Mouse story.
Yes. Before we go, because we're up on time already. Yeah, okay. So my experience with martial arts, first time ever seeing anything martial arts related, was my cousin Andrew. My cousin Andrew is a big martial arts fan.
Okay.
My first thing I ever saw was Fist in the North Star when I was a
child. Oh, yes, it's a classic.
When I was a child, I had no business watching it. But I don't care what anyone says. Still one of the best anime stories of fucking all time. Fist of the North Star. It had romance. It had fighting. It had, you know, there was a lot of things. It had adventure. It was serious. It had death. So the first thing I ever saw was Fist of the North Star growing up as a child. That's animated and live action. So yeah. And my cousin also took martial arts too, like jujitsu and things like that, but just as a hobby, never like, wasn't serious, but he just loved, it was just more of a hobby to him.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, he was a big Jean-Claude Van Damme fan. So, but anyways, my cousin in high school, they used to call him Mighty Mouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He has a tattoo of Mighty Mouse on his chest.
Wow.
But yeah, they used to call him Mighty Mouse because my cousin is short and stocky, but he like was very big, like up here. Like he had a lot of upper body strength, but he was slender, like in the waist.
Really?
Like stereotypical, like martial arts body.
Yeah.
That's what my cousin had.
Wow, that's amazing.
So in high school, they would call him Mighty Mouse.
I like it.
Because I always asked him, I was like, Andrew, like, why do you have a tattoo of Mighty Mouse? He's all, oh, because it was my nickname in high school. But he had a black and white. Well, he still has it, of course, because it's a tattoo. And it says, and it's Mighty Mouse flying on his chest.
Like, yes, here I am. And like, you know, the wrestling tie-in to Mighty Mouse, right?
No. What is the wrestling?
Well, aside from, you know, Vince McMahon wanting to have Pac become Mighty Mouse, like a wrestling version of Mighty Mouse, but now WWE Hall of Famer Andy Kaufman, when he was on SNL, that's what he did, right?
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, here I come to save the day, like, and wouldn't. He only sang so much and then was fucking stone-faced the rest of it. People didn't know what the fuck to make of it. Still one of my favorite comedians, and the fact how much he respected, you know, pro wrestling, even more so, at the Hall of Fame. One of the, I mean, Conan's, induction of Rey Mysterio, arguably the best Hall of Fame induction there has ever been, right? Yeah. But I feel like the second best, definitely of the night, but I want to say of all time, and this is going with Brett's and Flair's twice and whatever. But Andy Kaufman's family, man, like they were genuinely like honored that the wrestling community like literally enveloped their brother. And I mean, Andy Kaufman's daughter was there, her dad, who she lost when she was young. And we're memorializing in fucking crypto arena where Kobe, fucking won championships, where, WrestleMania 20 was held and shit like that. And they seem so genuinely touched the fact that people were chanting Andy, and like, fuck yeah, man. Like, so that was one of my favorite moments of this year's Mania. It was Andy Kaufman's family. So shout out to Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, I mean, he respected wrestling, and I think, a lot of people felt like they don't think that, but he really did.
He did.
But yeah, we're coming up on time. We've been on here for a while, but what do you expect? It's two interviewers interviewing each other.
Like that.
And I think also people have a better idea of like more or less who, like, where we come from.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's I feel like this is why we're friends. We've traveled similar roads, and man, I'm just so thankful that you're my friend. How about that?
I know. I'm so glad I met you. And I remember, I'll never forget the day you met Danzig, and I was like, let's talk about how you met Danzig.
Which we didn't at all. So we might have to do like a fucking B-roll or an IG live or whatever.
We could do it real quick.
Okay, so crazy enough. This is where I find my life, right? But friends with Josh Barnett have interviewed him and a litany of his fighters, because Josh Barnett, of course, trains fighters. That's exactly what you think of the fucking War Master. He trains fucking fighters, trains wrestlers, what have you. One of my favorite wrestling shows, and funny about it, like the ambiance and my favorite rings, also fucking Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, right? Matt Riddle had the first incarnation of it. Matt Riddle gets signed to the WWE, so they give it, GCW gives it to Barnett. So Barnett knows that I love it, so to me, from ground fighting to fucking actual wrestling and fighting, like there's, fucking jiu-jitsu, with slaps and shit like that. Right. So Bloodsport is that next iteration of the evolution of fighting, right? So he gives me a bunch of people to have on the podcast, which I'm honored. Some of which have like now Impact champion Josh Alexander, Simon Gotch, like a bunch of people. Don't forget,
Masha Slamovich was also in Bloodsport.
Yes, she was, and she was also on the According to Woods podcast. So
yeah,
there's that.
I've interviewed Masha as well.
Yeah, see, that's our friends. Saying. So,
talk about a badass woman.
Yeah. Oh, hell yes. And she's fucking tearing it up in Impact.
Everywhere.
So, yeah.
Everywhere. Yes. Not even just
she's
Impact.
the GCW world champion.
Yeah. She's tearing it up everywhere.
Yeah. So shout out to Masha. So, I want fucking Bloodsport to come to LA. So theoretically, hypothetically, the first Bloodsport in LA happens, but it's no crowd because it's the pandemic, right? So they have one after lockdown kind of eases up at the Ukrainian Cultural Complex here in LA, right? So I just go to support friends. I don't assume anything, whatever. I pay my ticket, whatever the fuck. And as everybody's coming up, like, what the fuck are you doing out there? Whatever. And this is like fucking Bad Dude Tito and fucking Eric Hammer and fucking, Janae Kai and Zeta Zhang and whatever, right? So they're like, no, fucker, like, get your ass back here. So I go backstage, and literally to my right is fucking Sean Waltman, X-Pac, talking to Glenn Danzig and Barnett. And Barnett motions for me to come over. And I'm like, the fuck? This is what? So our mutual friend, Barnett and I's mutual friend, Eddie from the Comedy Store Wrestling Podcast. He's there. He gets a picture of Josh, him, Danzig, X-Pac. Josh moves away, and it's me, Danzig, X-Pac. So that's how it starts. After fucking Bloodsport ends, bunch of hungry wrestlers, we need to eat, right? So we go to Sunset, right? Famous Sunset Boulevard. Couldn't find anything to fucking eat. Danzig goes, let's go to the Rainbow. Like the Rainbow Bar and Grill, where Lemmy fucking Kilmister hung out and shit like that. So many rock stories, debauchery, or whatever. So we shoot from fucking Los Feliz all across town to the Rainbow, and we fucking hang out, whatever. At the end of the night, Danzig talks to me, and Zeta Zhang is like, yo, I'm doing a show where I'm doing my new album, which is all Elvis covers, on Halloween night at the fucking Hollywood Roosevelt, like haunted fucking deal. First Oscars were there. You guys should come. The fuck? I thought that was it. Like, meet Danzig, that's it. Nope. Go next week. And he is I hope I'm not killing his gimmick, one of the sweetest, most sincere people I've ever met.
The crazy thing is, like, I have other friends that have met Danzig, and I haven't heard anything. I mean, I've heard like my share of like bad Danzig stories.
Yeah.
But I hear mainly more like interesting, good stories.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I mean, this interesting, good story is after he fucking plays his fucking show, right? Sold out show, had fucking grown men, biker dudes, fucking punk, metal, goth heads, whatever, crying that they were seeing their idol, chilling on the fucking rooftop with him, Barnett, Zeta, and he's serving us sake, and we're fucking talking about wrestling. That's it. That's it. And the cool thing about the Danzig, everybody that you would think like other rock stars, whatever. No, it's the people that Danzig has had and have meant something to him throughout his life and career that were up in the VIP with him. And it was a family. It was so great, and we're fucking talking wrestling. And then he's talking about like, oh, would you do fucking MMA stuff and whatever? And he was teaching me, like, because he's a traditional martial artist as well, and he was showing me some of the moves and whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on with my life right now? That I'm on the Hollywood rooftop with Danzig, and we're talking wrestling, and he's showing me fucking moves and everything. And we take a group picture that is on the interwebs and what have you. But at the end of the night,
how dare
Danzig
you
is
even
like
downplay that? Because it's on Danzig's it's on Danzig's account. Yes. It's not on your account. It's on Danzig's
account. It's on Danzig. So crazy enough, right? We're all, we all part ways, say goodbye, everything like that. And Danzig's like, what's very Godfather-esque. He puts his arm around my shoulder. Fuck it, and has somebody fucking take. I didn't even know my phone got handed off, and it's just me and him. The first one was me and Xbox with him, right? The next one is, it's a group picture. Hannah, Josh's fiance, Zeta, me, and Josh, right? But I got one that Danzig called. Just me and him, and then after that, went to a screening of his Death Rider, movie, which is awesome, by the way.
You're telling me.
Yeah, and then got to hang out at the Rainbow again. And all the years that I lived in LA and all the documentaries that I've seen or biographies that I've read about the Rainbow and, the debauchery that has gone on since like the 1960s, the only times that I've been is with Danzig. So there's that.
I always say this, like the universe, like delivers everything in a circle.
Yeah.
So whatever's in your life at the beginning always comes back at the end. And it's one thing I've noticed, especially lately.
Yeah. Well, that's why you are who you are. And that's what you attain the things that you've basically wanted. And sometimes not even wanted. But it's happened anyway because you emit genuine interest. And I think I hope the world reciprocates what you've given us back to you in kind.
That's good to live by, because me and you've had this discussion where I'm like, I just don't feel appreciated about anything.
Appreciate you. How about
Yeah.
that? It's not good to point, but just so you know, there you go.
You're pointing 3 back at you, so I appreciate you 3 times more. But
Yes.
good conversation, good talk. Let's tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, the Principal Podcast can be found on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, according to Woods. Also on Instagram and the Twitter machine. Dumb shit memes. That's what I got. When I'm not podcasting like a fucking banshee, I have people falling out of different fucking places. So follow me there. There's literally on all the socials, there's a link tree linking you back, kind of circle jerking you back to where else you can find me. Yeah, so there's that. It's weird to talk about myself. But yeah, I do things. It's so cool.
It's weird being on the other end of the table, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's a little unsettling. It's
yeah,
okay. You get used to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because Ash is so much more interesting than I.
I'm all right, dude. I'm not all that. I honestly think I just get lucky.
But that's where luck is. Where what was it? Preparation meets opportunity, right? Yeah. So you prepared very well for this. That's what I'm saying. And you live the life that you're supposed to be living. And if something else happens, then that's the life that you're supposed to be living. Live each day like it's your, not just your last day, but your first day, with the wide-eyed wonderment that everything could be possible. If you, whatever you want to tap into spiritually, whatever, that's your deal or whatever. But that itself, that's all you need.
I mean, I'm as spiritual as they come.
There you go.
Yes. And we're out.